you're looking at a candidate for the gifted program, is there one set of skills or one thing in particular you're looking for, or is it like a variety? Like, okay, this one is great at writing, this one is gifted in math, or so? Is there something like? Do you look for different things in different students?
Yeah. So actually a big misconception with gifted students is, I'll hear teachers say there's no way they're gifted. They're not organized. They're failing. They're not,
Yeah.
not gifted. I don't have anything to say about this student. That's a huge misconception. There's actually a whole list of concomitant traits of gifted students. And those are those adverse traits where they're not shining, they are struggling. It could be something as, questioning authority, which, not defiance, but questioning authority. Well,
That
why
could be that lawyer friend of yours,
Yeah, not that I'm not going to follow this rule, but what's the point of it? Why do I have to do this? Why are things this way? There are so many different traits, and has nothing to do with actual intelligence. Rather, it's the way that they think about things, thinking about things in ways that other students don't. So just looking out for those different perspectives or those traits of perfectionism is a huge one. All kinds of different traits that they can display.
It's kind of like that. Like in my experience, is gifted students are not necessarily like quote unquote the wicked smart kids. It's the kids that adapted differently as they're growing up, as they were the cookies in the oven. They grew. They had a different perspective, and that affected how they developed. Like some of my most gifted kids were also my most absent-minded. I had a student that I would constantly have to shout her name as we're leaving for lunch because she would be engrossed in a book. She would be like this in a book, and we'd have to kind of shout, like we're all lined up getting ready to go to lunch, and we'd have to shout her name to get her to come over. But she, like the stuff that she would come up with, there was another student that got passed over a lot because when he would get a problem, a lot of students would just look at 4 or 5 different possible answers. He would freeze up because he would see like countless possibilities, and he would almost overthink. But a lot of times it manifested as him like clamming up or being like being quiet. Do you see stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times they might not be the best communicator. Like you said, they just may have so many ideas that it's hard for them to get it out. Or, they may be so laser focused on one perspective and they're just adamant that they're right, that they have a hard time sometimes even seeing other perspectives. So I think it's important for teachers to know that there are just more than just those general, they catch on really quickly. They're gifted. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one trait, but that's not everything we're looking at.
Do you also see a handful of twice exceptional students coming up?
I have a couple, not as many as I would expect, but that is something that we're looking into for next year. Maybe one of our goals to try to identify more twice exceptional students.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed sometimes too. And again, like I think sometimes the misconception has always been, gifted means wicked smart. And whereas like I had a student that was very intelligent and yet was also dyslexic, but he was his aptitude was overcoming, like his problem solving skills was overcoming his dyslexia. So he would look at a passage or he'd read something, and he would struggle with the reading and comprehension because the words are all over the place. But he would understand. It's almost like he was gaming the questions. Like he would do well on tests because he kind of would figure out which answer to choose.
Yeah.
But by the time he got to me, I started noticing, like I'd have him write the word now, and he'd write OWN. And I asked him, I said, what did you just write? And he would say now. And it's just, he was reversing those letters. And these were his words, but he would, I talked to his mom, and he would always come home and complain that in language arts groups, he would always end up with the booger eaters is what he called them. That was his word. But I know but it's like what it was he was overcompensating one side and he was missing it in the other. And when we finally were in the meeting for his diagnosis for IP, and it's the discussion. One of the things that bothered me was the whole talk about you know, they were like, well, he's on grade level, so does he really need any help? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He needs help.
Imagine he's here by, you know, like with overcoming all these obstacles. Can you imagine if he got the help he needed?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Catch full episodes of the Educators podcast every Thursday at 4 p.m. Real educators with the real issues in education. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, take care of yourself. Jeans passes for anyone who likes, shares, and comments on this video. Have a great week.